call the meeting to order and get started. If you would, Ms. Murdoch, the roll, please.
Mr. Sousa?
Here.
Mr. Cordray?
Here.
Mr. Rozzi?
Here. And we'll stand for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll make a motion to approve the Clerk's Journal and accept the audio-video recording as the official minutes of the January 7th Board of Trustees regular meeting.
Second.
Mr. Sousa?
Yes.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
Mr. Rozzi?
Yes. And I'll make a motion to approve the bills as presented to the board.
Second.
Mr. Sousa?
Yes.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
Mr. Rozzi?
Yes. All right, we do have a presentation this evening. The township had engaged with a strategic planning consulting entity within the fire department to do a strategic plan and some mission statement planning several months ago, and they are here tonight to present those results. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, appreciate it. How are you all doing this evening?
Great. How are you?
Good.
Good, thank you. I was told 20,000 feet, so if I actually, let's keep this as far as the strategic plan. So with the strategic plan, really, if you don't know where you're going, you got a hard time getting there, right? I mean, we had a pretty clear idea of where we want to go. So the fire department, we wanted to look at where do we want to go over the next 3 to 4 years to make sure that we do what we need to do for the township. So I want to first look at mission and vision. Mission and vision are those things that sometimes if you just do it once and you never talk about it again, it's really a waste of time. It makes a lot of sense, though, if you talk to your folks and really get an idea of what everybody is together. And when we talked to all the folks at the department leadership, and we really had some great sessions with your folks at fire department. I got to tell you, it's a good group of people that really believe in the mission. They're excited to be here, and they're excited about the direction things are going. There was a sense of this is a good place to be. We're excited about the direction, and we're excited to be here. So the idea of the mission, this is the idea with many focus groups with your staff members, with leadership, with community members, and with community leaders. We gathered this information. The mission that the guys wanted, and the ladies on the service, is the mission we're dedicated to protecting lives and property with professionalism and compassion. The idea being, when we are trying to figure out what we're going to do, what decisions we're going to make, we keep coming back to what do we do? We're dedicated to protecting lives with property, with professionalism and compassion. Vision, to be a trusted, professional, and compassionate fire service that strengthens community safety, enhances quality of life, and stands prepared to meet every challenge. Again, kind of the North Star, this is what we do, and this is what we want to make sure that we're aligned to do. Okay, let's go next here to the core values. Now, our core value, again, a core value, it doesn't mean a hill of beans. If it's something you talk about one time and you move on, the whole point of a core value is this is something that you talk about a lot. That the chief and we've talked about this, the idea moving forward, how to get this into people's DNA. These are, each month you talk about a different core value. The officers talk about it. You have discussions amongst yourselves. You talk about these things again and again. So what are the core values? Integrity and trust. We do what's right. Compassionate service. We serve with care. Teamwork and resilience. We're stronger together. Growth and innovation. We keep learning, keep improving. Aggressive and dedicated. We attack the fire. Stewardship and sustainability. Use resources wisely. So again, when you're looking to bring someone on, when you're looking to have a discussion with somebody about how is it going here, are we meeting these standards? These are the kind of folks that we want to have. These are the kind of folks that we believe are going to get us where we want to go. So the idea of the core values, and I'm not going to go into it now, but each of those is then defined. So again, we can be very clear about the behavior we want. You know, it's interesting. I've been doing this a long time. I found that common sense doesn't exist. I don't know if anybody has figured that it doesn't exist. The very idea of common sense means there's a common group of behaviors that everyone recognizes, everybody understands it. And have you met people? That's generally not the case. If you want to have people behave a certain way, if we want to have a certain culture, we need to be darn specific about what we want, be clearly communicated, and hold people accountable to it. That's how you have a great culture. So if you don't have a clear idea of the culture you want, you can't be upset if you don't achieve it. So that's the idea here. This is clearly the culture we have and clearly the culture we want to build upon. So again, we talked to fire leadership, we talked to all the personnel, we talked to community members, we talked to community leaders, gathered all this insight. There are 4 main goals. Each goal has objectives. There are 4 goals, there are 15 objectives. I'm going to go through these very quickly. Goal 1, planning for community growth. Expand Hamilton Township's fire rescue capacity and readiness to keep pace with community growth. That came up again and again, the fact that you're growing, how do we plan to successfully make sure that we're on top of that? 4 objectives. I'm not going to go into each of these. I know you guys all looked at this. Staffing to meet those community needs. We need to make sure that we are looking ahead. If we have these needs, what are we doing? Plan for the future fire station. Do we need a new facility? What do we have to do to meet that? Apparatus and equipment readiness. Your folks on the fire staff were very, very keen on this. I know you've made some moves lately with different apparatus, but just to make sure we have what we need, and then to strengthen the EMS. The idea to have most folks certified in that. There was a lot of need discussed there. The next, communication. This came up a bunch, just to make sure that we're effectively communicating internally and to the community. So strengthen communication to build public understanding and unified, well-informed team. Actually, let me go back really quick. One of the things that you don't see here is that chief and his folks are under each objective. There's actually then action items which are being built out. Who owns it? When is it due, and how is it measurable? So the idea is that this is kind of a higher level, but in each of these, they have to be actionable and they have to be measurable to move them forward. So that's the idea. Okay, so communication. 4 objectives. Design a proactive multi-channel public communication. Make sure that we're getting out what the fire department does. It came up again and again. There seems to be not a real understanding of the breadth of the services your fire department offers. So you guys do a lot of really great stuff. The community, they're not quite sure, they're not aware of it. So we need to make sure that we're aware of the good stuff they do. Expand community engagement and education, Citizen Fire Academy, junior, all of those things are really, really important. Enhance proactive preventative practices, talked a lot about for seniors and shut-ins to make sure that they have what they need, and a consistent, transparent internal communications. There was a lot of, the communication has gotten much, much better. There was discussion about communication across shifts and making sure that the communication is where it needs to be. Communication is hard. Any organization we've ever worked with, I don't care if it's police or fire or a hospital or whatever else, if you say what could be better here, they always say communication because it's hard. The idea here is to develop a very clear internal communication system so we're communicating well. Goal number 3, culture and leadership development. Create a resilient, unified, and high-performing culture. 3 objectives. Invest in comprehensive leadership development and staff empowerment. There's a lot of discussion about, it feels as though a lot of the technical aspects are handled very, very well with the training. There was some desire for additional leadership training, how to work with people, how to de-escalate situations, those kind of things. There's a lot of interest in that. Evaluate staff proficiency, again, training, and then formalize and expand staff well-being and peer support programs. There can be some tough aspects of this service and making sure that people have the emotional support that they need. Financial stewardship, ensure long-term fiscal sustainability and optimize resource management. 4 objectives. Develop and implement long-range financial plans just to make sure we have these plans underway. 2, strengthen operations. 3, deepen understanding of communications of department finances. This is important. At a high level, the staff and the community need to understand where you fiscally are. So, I mean, if something happens, how are we doing fiscally so we can communicate that, and that's really across the township, but specifically for fire. Objective 4, pursue regional partnerships and grants to support major acquisitions. So, with intentionality, go out and to get that information. So the idea is, over these next 3 to 4 years, the chief, they have teams which are developing around each of these baseline recommendations, action steps to move these different pieces forward. So over these next 4 years, I imagine there's going to be reports back from your chief as to where you are moving on these. That's the 30,000 foot. Any questions as to the plan, where it is or where it's going?
No, the only thing I appreciate it. It's a great overview, and I think it's great that we're doing this. You brought it up earlier, and I think what I'm most interested in probably going forward is going to be what are the measurables? What is the actual plan? I think that's where I'm interested in seeing the details. I think one of the things I think I always kind of worry about when we do these plans, and I think they're great, is, and I'm not saying us, just Hamilton Township, but just in general when plans like this happen, is, okay, where's the payoff on the backside? We don't want to just do a plan and end up in a shelf and collect dust on it. So, like I said, I think this is great where we're headed with this. I think these are great conversations to have, and I think it's definitely going to push us in the right direction. I'd like to see more detail when it becomes available.
And I don't want to speak for the chief and Jeff, but I think that's the idea. Is I've also been a part of places where you do a strategic plan, everybody's real excited about it, and 3 years later somebody says, hey, didn't we do a plan? Yeah, it's on George's filing cabinet. That doesn't make any sense. The point is, who's doing what, when is it measurable, and are we advancing? Anything on the gentleman?
Yeah, I agree. That's something Chief and I have talked about a couple of times. To Mr. Cordry's point, we will have some action items within each objective, and then we'll know when none of them will be fully accomplished because this is an evolving community, an evolving staff. But probably the most succinct way I phrased it to Chief Jewett was, I would like to know that so a lot of this work was done in 2025. I would like in 2027 us to know how will the typical Hamilton Township resident know in 2027 that this work was initiated in 2025. I would like to know in 2 years' time that there are some obvious advancements. So that was one way I put it to him.
And that's one of the advantages of a strategic plan too, is, you build trust with the community by doing what you say you're going to do. So this is what you say you're going to do, you do it, you let them know you did it.
John?
Yeah, well, those are the questions I had.
Yeah.
And Daryl just touched on, so.
Chief Jewett, you want to add anything? Your
Yes.
thoughts?
So this gives us a good guideline for going forward. I can tell you that when we first started finalizing this plan in September, some of these action items are already being put into place. Staff development, we've recently just ran a Fire Officer 2 class. We received the FEMA grant for training, which is not only technical training, but also officer development, conflict resolution. So some of these action items are taking place. We're already looking forward to what our capital needs are in the future, what fire station needs are in the future, and that's something that within the next year, you gentlemen will be seeing as well as where we think we need to go now and in the future. So.
Good, thank you. Anybody else?
I was just curious. Did you find when you were working with our group that there's anything that makes us unique compared to other fire departments? Are we pretty similar?
There's a lot of similarities. I'm trying to think of a uniqueness. There is a real desire for the leadership development. There was a real desire to, again, not just to the technical aspects, but how to lead, how to mentor, how to that was something that came out. What was a little unique is the positiveness. I mean, honestly, I've done a lot of these before, and sometimes it can be pretty rough. There's a real sense, a real genuine sense that the ship is going in the right direction, and that people want to be here. So that was, in a very positive sense, that was a little unusual.
Good. Those are good uniqueness.
All right, well, thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thanks for
thank
coming
you.
and presenting.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, with that, we'll get to the remainder of the agenda. We'll open the floor to public comment at 6:15 p.m. Nobody? Brad? Nothing? All right, no one approaching. We'll close the floor to public comment at 6:15 p.m. and get into our new business. First item, we have a resolution. We had previously authorized via a resolution the sale of our approximately 20-year-old ladder truck to another local jurisdiction. That did not materialize. Another opportunity has come forward. Jeff or Chief Jewett, either one of you speak? to this any at all, or?
I'll give a fact or two, and then I'll have Chief Jewett's been working at this more closely than I. Yeah, unfortunately, the first community decided that they were more willing to spend more money on a vehicle that had many less hours and miles on it. There's a unique situation, how I understand things with City of Franklin, is that they have ordered a replacement ladder truck. They have one that's, I believe, older than 20 years old. But like we experienced, there's a 2 to 3 year lag time of wait. And so it's going to be a couple or few more years until Franklin receives that truck that they have committed for. And there are a lot of old engines and ladders and some other equipment out there in the marketplace. But my experience at Prairie Communities is the demand isn't always there to match the level of availability. So it's unfortunate one fell through. I feel good that it's a community that is in such close proximity to us, and I'm probably leaving out some details that Chief Jewett's worked on.
Yeah, so with Franklin Township, basically that was something the fire chief and I worked on. He was working directly with the trustees. Initially, he had support. When they took it back to do the final vote, basically what he told me is they were looking to buy a newer used vehicle versus something that's already 20 years old. And so that was just, fortunately, as soon as that happened, Chief Stitzel, who's here tonight, reached out to me, and Mr. Westendorf, their city manager, was interested in our ladder truck. We took it over there, they drove it, and they made an offer based on the condition of the truck in which they saw it. We negotiated, that's how we came up with the price. I still believe it's fair and equitable. I still believe it gives us fair value for the truck. And I think it's the right thing for our community to sell it to them. And they're going to use it until they get their new ladder truck, and then it'll be a spare ladder truck for them as well.
Yeah, I would add it. I've been checking Gov Deals like weekly for a few weeks and just wondering what is the demand, and it's rare that an engine or a ladder of this age and mileage. I've watched $20,000-$40,000 kind of seems to be the sweet spot. There's some fees and things, so I don't have an issue with it. I think it makes sense. It helps someone out locally for a little bit. Gentlemen, have any thoughts or questions or anything to add?
No, I mean, like you said, I think it makes sense. We avoid the fees and the time for our staff to try and get it prepped ready and get it on something like Gov Deals, and it's pretty close to what we originally were going to sell it for. No, I think it makes sense in this case.
All right, with that, I will make and the amount is $40,000, by the way. It's not specifically in the resolution language, but that's what's negotiated. I will make a motion to approve Resolution 26-0121A, a resolution authorizing a contract to sell a 2006 Suffolk aerial ladder truck to the city of Franklin, Warren County, Ohio, for use by Franklin's Fire Department.
Second.
Mr. Sousa?
Yes.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
Mr. Razzi?
Yes. Next item we have is kind of a standard one we review every so often. Sorry. This is just for plowing rates that we do via contract for roads in the township that will become township roads at a point where they're not yet dedicated. There's generally not many of these. This year might be a bit of an anomaly from snowfall, and we might be getting ready to get walloped this weekend. We'll find out. But Don, you have any questions or anything you want to add to this one?
Not really any questions. It's just, this gives us and like you said, it's for roads that will be turned over to the township eventually, but it allows those residents to get the same quality of services as the dedicated roads. So.
Generally, subdivision roads for phases that aren't finished, and again, language specific to the resolution the public may be interested in. It's a rate of $150 an hour with a minimum 1 hour call out and a bit of a plowing. You guys have anything to add or thoughts?
I do not.
I do not. All right. I make a motion to approve resolution number 26-0121B, a resolution establishing rates for public works services on non-dedicated/unaccepted roads and authorizing the township administrator to enter into agreements for such services.
Second.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
Mr. Razzi?
Yes.
Mr. Sousa?
Yes. Next one we have is something that we've been working on for a period of time, appears to be 7 years, nearing a conclusion. Authorizing and executing a
7 years?
a JED, this time with the City of Lebanon. Jeff, do you want to talk about this and kind of hit some of your notes and highlights?
Sure, thanks, Mark. Yeah, some things the public might be curious about. A JED is a pretty common tool in Ohio now. They've existed, I believe, since the 1990s. It's a cooperative agreement between a township and a city or a village. And our JED partner is going to be the City of Lebanon. We will work with Lebanon on a very few specific parcels in the part of the township where we have mixed use and commercial or industrial development occurring. It is a way for us to apply City of Lebanon's income tax only to those developing parcels. It does not apply to any existing Hamilton Township residents. Townships in Ohio are not allowed to implement income tax. So an economic development tool is in an area, best example would be for us, our first area is going to be the west side of State Route 48, where Town Center Boulevard was recently constructed. There was over $1 million cost for the utilities and infrastructure. We've already enjoyed having Chase Bank and a commercial building there. There's one other commercial vacant lot, and that's where Hills Communities out of Blue Ash is going to build 320 apartments. They are going to have to extend the road even further, and the change on this map of the JED as opposed to a year and a half ago is that the board has noticed we also will have a 11-acre industrial property that's vacant off of Grandin Road that will have that developer go through the expense of extending the road from the apartments at Town Center in the future all the way to Grandin. So it's going to allow our existing residents and the motoring public to have an additional connection between Grandin and 48. And it's going, by them putting in the public infrastructure, that's going to increase the time when we'll get that mixed use and commercial development. So the Lebanon income tax will apply to those very few specific parcels there. It's a way for a township that is growing at the rate of Hamilton Township to have a new specific revenue stream, and that revenue can be used for things to provide the services our police, fire, zoning, public works that will be needed. So when an area develops, of course it does require some services from us, but this way, in addition to any property taxes that taxing entities receive, we will be receiving. I project that in 3 years, if the developments that we have definitively approved, when they are finished, the net to Hamilton Township is going to be over $200,000 a year of unrestricted new revenue. And so that revenue will be coming from, not from any existing Hamilton Township residents, but from the persons who will work in those future businesses and who will live in a couple of future mixed-use developments. So we enjoy a new revenue stream that can be a part of our used appropriately like our general fund, and it does not put a tax on any existing Hamilton Township resident. There are a dozen or so of these examples already in Warren County. They exist in almost all of the 88 counties in Ohio. So again, it's been around for 25, 30 years. Mr. Yoder's firm has been they have public clients. They have been a part of probably over 100 of these, I'm going to assume, throughout Ohio. So they're very common. They're very low push for us, and there will be a board that meets annually that will oversee it, and we will have most of the representation on that.
One other thing I would, Jeff or Ben to speak to, there's a number of township parcels in some of our parks, just some open space that's been, gifted through the years or something like that, maybe where a previous garden was or a monument. Could you speak to just a little bit why our parcels end up there? I've had a couple people ask me, and I've conveyed, hey, we're not looking to develop this township property, but how and why they end up in the JED.
So in order to create a JED, you need a 51% approval by both the businesses and the property owners located within the JED. So there's some math to be done there. The township contributing its own parcels to it can go towards that tipping point of the 51%. So just kind of a pragmatic level, that's one of the strategies of how you can go about putting together a JED.
Okay. Jim, deliberation, thoughts?
I don't have any questions, really. Daryl?
No, I don't have any questions. I'm just excited for this. I think this was one of those things, especially when Mr. Rossi and I came on the board 8 years ago when we talked about economic development and how important it was for our township. It was for tools like these where once we got development going, to be able to use this tool to in hopes of reducing the burden of property taxes on our township residents, and it's nice to finally see the fruition of that. And, you know, not only are we doing this now, but there's certainly going to be opportunities in the future as development comes online and as we evaluate different areas within the township to add to this where we can capture additional revenue with hopefully not putting such a heavy burden on our residents with property taxes.
Joe? I'm good. Yeah, no, the one thing I would add to Daryl's comments is we, although the township has only recently done, I think we had 2 TIFs, one really active that is generating any revenues at the new Kroger Marketplace. People will be kicking the tires or negotiating with Jeff or Kathy will commonly ask us for tax incentives, you know, a TIF to do their development. Lots of times there's infrastructure needs. We try to take really seriously looking to not do those. So this, and Joe made the comment, this has been an ask of staff by the board to get done for some time. And it'll be many years into the future as these areas develop and fully build out and fund. But this will be a nice available resource to offset tax credits with a revenue stream to replace if we do tax credits, or we decide that we want to do some infrastructure that maybe requires financing to service debt or something like that, but will position us better to.
Well, the problem is we're severely behind in development. And now, in the day and age when everything is much more expensive than it was 10 or 15, when that Hoptown 2010 plan was penned in 2005, I believe, right around there. Things were a lot more reasonable today. They're just outrageous to do any kind of infrastructure development.
Yeah, the road stuff is pricey. So this will be nice to have in our tool belt at a point when it's up and running and being funded to help with those challenges.
Mr. Truce, if you don't mind, I just want to add one more thing. I do want to thank the staff, past, present. I know Mr. Rossi was kind of making the comment, we've been working on this for years. So I do want to just thank the staff for everybody's work on this. I know you guys put in a lot of hours, time, and whatnot, and just want to thank our partners too over in Lebanon for partnering with us on this. Just appreciate their partnership.
Ben made a career out of this.
Yeah. And this is just for the audience and residents, anyone may be watching, this is a first step tonight. There has to be an action by Lebanon's council, then I think we revisit this potentially as soon as maybe March to finalize it, and then it actually starts to get structured and hit the ground running. With that, I will make a motion to approve resolution number 26-0121C, a resolution authorizing the execution of a petition requesting the inclusion of certain township-owned property within the Hamilton Township City of Lebanon Joint Economic Development District.
Second.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Mr. Sousa?
Yes.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
All right, with that, we're to our motions part. We have another one that's kind of a housekeeping item that we do every so often, is updating our township highway miles. Got data here from ODOT that I'm sure Don has been a part of. We're up to just under 107 township road miles, 106.96 in essence. Anybody have any questions or concerns?
We didn't accept any new roads this year for 2025? Because I noticed the number didn't change.
We actually, back in October, we accepted a big portion of the rear portion of Hopewell Valley, but it didn't get approved to the trustees and release the bond until early January.
Okay.
And I didn't know what had happened with that until I contacted Warren County. So they switched their email about the same time that we emailed the acceptance over, and they've changed all their email address, so it went to the old, but it is accepted now, so it's probably about 3/4 of a mile that we've already accepted. So, and we got a couple of other big ones coming this year too, because the classic way is a very large one that's ready for me to do the final walkthrough, so.
That's all questions or anything, guys? All right, with that, I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 Township Highway System Mileage Certification from the Ohio Department of Transportation.
Second.
Mr. Souza?
Yes.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
Mr. Rozzi?
Yes.
Next motion is another standard item. It's just accepting and admitting updates to the township roster as it's presented. Pretty standard. I think we had a couple positions, one each in police and fire. Do you have any questions on this one?
I do
not.
not.
All right, with that, I'll make a motion to approve the amendment of the Hamilton Township roster as presented.
Second.
Mr. Rozzi?
Yes.
Mr. Souza?
Yes.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
All right, with that, we're to our second public comment section. I will open the floor for public comment at 6:31 PM. All right. Again, no one approaching. I'll close the floor to public comment at 6:31 PM. Mrs. Elliott, Fiscal Officer report.
Thank you. Okay, so I was absent for the November meeting, so we haven't presented any numbers since the month end of October. So this brings us through the end of the fiscal year in December. And I apologize, it's somewhat small, but it is showing 105% of revenue has been collected against the budget. This number's always been higher than what we've budgeted. However, 105 is more accurate than it's been in the last few years. And conversely, over on the expense side, it's showing 82%. That's just how the math came out on paper. It's being driven by the Public Works budget and spend. So to make it apples to apples, when I back that out, it brings it to 98%. So that's also closer than it's been in probably the last few years. So from accuracy to budget, I think we're tracking closer than like the last few years. And since it's the end of the year, I did go ahead and prepare. This is the same report I did last year, where it just takes a look at it by department, and it compares what our budget was both on revenue and expenditures against how we actually did, and then takes a look at, it just calculates the variance. So this is kind of a busy slide, so I broke it out by department. It's a little easier to read. So on this slide, it's showing just the general department, and just for everyone's reference, that's your cemetery, that's your parks, that's your admin building. A couple of things flow into the general department. So what you want to take away from this slide is the numbers that I have boxed in. The first number there on the left is showing that we anticipated we'd have a deficit of 181,000. And then if you take a look at the actual column, what we truly did is build a surplus of 917,000, and then it just calculates the variance. And I did leave down there kind of shaded out how we did last year, just for reference. So again, I think the most important numbers on these slides are the actual columns. Budget's important, no doubt, but we're not as in control with our budget, especially the revenue side. So I think the actual column is really the most impactful number. For Public Works, it's the same format. So we had anticipated in 25 to have a small surplus. We actually had a 668,000 surplus. And if you compare that to last year, we also carried a surplus from 24. For fire and EMS, slightly different story. So we anticipated a deficit, and we actually ended up even more of a deficit. So you can see the 922 versus the 1.1 million. And if you compare that to last year, quite different. And the ladder truck, I think, and some of the other capital expenditures could explain some of those differences. And then the police department, trending in the same kind of direction. We didn't do as bad as we had anticipated. So we anticipated $1 million deficit. We came in more closer to 684, somewhat similar to how we had done in 24. So I know that's a lot to swallow, so I thought to make a little bit more sense. If you look at these numbers, they're basically just a snapshot of how we did in that year. So for example, in this police slide, the negative 403 that you're seeing, that's just a snapshot in how they did in 24. The negative 684 is just a snapshot in how they did in 25. So what I thought would be more impactful is to see, okay, what do these numbers actually do to our cash balance? Oh, sorry, that's on the next slide. I just did the total. So quickly we can run through this. The total for all of the departments, excluding any of the TIFs and the ARPAs, because I'm trying to get down to just truly what our departments are that we have control over. We were anticipating a deficit of 2 million and we came closer to breaking even. And that's been how it's been for the last couple of years. Okay, so what I did is just took a look at the cash balance over the last 2 years since I've been tracking this by department. So at the end, just going into the details on this first one, in the general department, at the end of 2023, we had 2.5 million. In 24, it became 2.9, and in 25, it became 3.8. So those circle numbers that we were talking about on the previous slide, that directly impacts what these balances are. Taking a look at the same set of data for the Public Works building, and you can see an upward trend over the years building that cash balance up. And then looking, fire and EMS, same. I think it's just a graphical representation of what we were seeing on the previous slides. The trajectory down, and then for the police, the same scenario. So then, just one more caveat, and then I'll be done. I thought it would be important to look at the percent change year over year to see if there were any anomalies that we needed to talk about. So for the general budget, you can see from in the year 24, it was a 15% increase, and it jumped to 30% in 25. And I had wished that I put on the 26 projections. I didn't get to it, or I thought about it after these slides were made. But for the most part, we're going to trend in the same direction for 26 in this department. For Public Works, I think what's going to happen here is, so you've seen the balance build the last 2 years. Now that we have the Public Works building going into play, you're going to see that balance start to decrease over the years. I did exclude the building from any of these numbers because it skewed everything. So when I take a look at that department, I excluded the building. Fire and EMS, we decreased 5% last year or 2 years ago and took more of a deficit, more of a percent change to the negative going from 24 to 25. And again, that was investing in the capital. If I took a look at where we're going to be, what we're anticipating for 26, it's also going to be a deficit of 862. So I'm sure this isn't news to any of the department heads, but I just think it's important to look at kind of a year-end review. And then for the police, same trajectory down, more similar year over year as far as the negative slope. And for 26, we're anticipating a negative almost $700,000 deficit. So knowing what we know on how we do against the budget, I don't think that what we're projecting is necessarily going to be exactly where we end up. It's probably going to be more favorable. But like I said, I just think it's important to look at where we've been year in review and helpful maybe for the department heads. That's all I had.
Thank you. I mean, I like it. I think this is a simpler way at the end of the year to present overall financial condition and trends that we're seeing. And, you know, we're spending more than we're taking in police and fire, but we have a buffer in general fund to support that at a point if needed. And we know we're going to spend down the cash balances in the Public Works various funds by a couple $1 million this year for the down payment portions of the Public Works building, and then it's going to add a new debt service line that'll unlikely continue trending up like it has in the past. And we've seen recent tax reform that's probably going to change the revenue model moving forward with future evaluations too. So I like it and appreciate it very much. Thank you. John,
Yeah.
your thoughts?
No, the only thing I'd like to add, thank you, Leah, for putting that all together. I think it's great, especially the detail. As you know, I would maybe a discussion as a board we may want to have in the near future with regards to, I mean, like you pointed out with the general fund, and we're kind of approaching that window that we had talked about when we ran the police and fire levy back in 2018, 2019. Is do we start taking some of those funds out of the general fund to kind of help support the police and fire fund, maybe to slow down that deficit rate, and hopefully maybe slow down when we may need to anticipate running a levy again for police and fire.
Yeah, I agree. Joe, anything?
Yep. No, I agree with what Daryl said. Yep. And I do appreciate the report. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I think it's a little bit more helpful. The report I get from Ellen is 30 funds, and it's hard to wrap your head around it. So grouping it by department and then kind of stripping out the anomalies like TIFs and ARPA, I think gets us somewhat close to what we need to be looking at.
No, I think it's sensible because, I mean, to the people that see this that are here, they just know police, fire, and roads largely. And we have some office people, they don't need to know that, or really care that Public Works has several funds and what those different dollars are used for. But it's a good high-level presentation of financial condition and how we're trending, and I think it makes sense. It's a good ad. Thank you. All right, Jeff, your administrator's report?
All right, thanks, Mr. Souza. A few items to highlight. The new replacement ladder truck will be back to us on Friday, February 6th. It's at the final upfitters, getting all the final equipment. And so that means that I'll remind the community on Saturday, February 7th at 1 p.m. at our main fire station 76. At 1 p.m. we're doing the push-in ceremony with the new pumper truck and the new ladder truck. So hopefully the board can attend, and any past members of the fire and EMS, supporters of theirs, and the general public. Regarding the Mounts Park stream stabilization project, today the contractor received their permit from Warren County Water and Soil for their sedimentation and erosion control measures. And so I anticipate that the contractor will be on site next week at Mounts to begin that work. Late this afternoon, the contractor for the new Public Works building next door to us began putting the steel together. So that assembly started this afternoon. I'm hopeful that if the weather stays dry, we'll start to see them once the footers and foundations poured. Then you'll see the steel that they're building go up. They're trying to have, because we lost some time to the bad weather, they're trying to have the different subcontractor groups work simultaneously. We began on Monday night, the second week of our annual Citizens Police Academy. That's the event we do every year through the police department. And if residents are interested for next year, we start that the second week of January every year. So they can get with the police department, see what that's about, and that runs into early March. Interestingly, it was just maybe the last meeting I talked to the board about the Bolo Wrap on-site demonstration that was done. That's a relatively new non-lethal tool that police departments are starting to invest in when we have some dangerous situations in the community. And we already, last week, earlier this week, we had our first incident. And so within a week or two of us having that new non-lethal tool, we already had the appropriate occurrence to use it, and it was done successfully. So I'm happy to report that. Chief Hughes and I appreciate the board encouraging us to invest in these new non-lethal and it's a very affordable piece of equipment. We had a very positive outcome. So thanks, the officers really appreciate that as well. And I'm glad when I can report back that we're using the equipment that you invest in. I think my final item is something of a pretty wide interest. We have some return on investment to report. A few years ago, starting in the police department, we contracted with Beacon Orthopedic out of Cincinnati to start doing on-site rehab and tactical performance. Because the work is so physical that Public Works, Fire and EMS, and our police officers perform. So 3-4 years ago, I believe, that was initiated, and the police department started to get good feedback from their officers. There was a savings of not having so much lost time by the employees, And it was positive feedback because it's done on-site, it's very private, and we have a Beacon person come twice a week for every department. So with the success in the police, we implemented it in 2025 in Fire and Public Works. And these are the numbers just from 2025 for the police department. It was over a 200% return on investment. They keep really good statistics on types of treatments, frequency. Sometimes they are referred to a physician, but we had 118 unique treatments for just the officers in 2025. And the cost savings equates to $20,000. The savings comes in that having it done on site here under one reasonable contract with Beacon means the employees are having less use of our health insurance program, which can long-term reduce the overall cost. Also, if it's a workplace injury, it reduces our frequency and amount that we're having to run through the bureaus of workers' comp. So those are the two direct financial benefits. And then again, it's less lost opportunity cost. The employees are here on site and actively working more. So thanks for that investment. And it was very similar percentage, 200 to 250% ROI, I believe, for those other two departments. So combined, we saved several tens of thousands of dollars by doing that. So just thought you gentlemen would like to hear about the ROI.
All right, with that, trustee comments, Mr. Cordray?
Yep, just got one thing tonight. I think we've all watched the news now, and White Death is upon us. Apparently this weekend, hopefully not, but if so, just one piece of just advice and just something to help out our roads crew immensely is, if at all possible, if you can get your cars off the roads and onto your driveways, probably starting Saturday afternoon, evening before the snow hits. That'll do an immense amount of, they'll make an immense amount of help for our roads crew, just because then they will be able to plow those streets. You'll see less, I know we all get frustrated, you'll see less opportunities where snow will get piled up right in front of your driveway, because they will be able to kind of push that along. And it'll just help as far as timing the amount of time they're going to spend on each and every road, especially if we're going to get what they're predicting at this point. So that's just kind of my public service announcement for the evening with the impending weather.
Mr. Rossi?
Well, I'd comment on the snow, but I'm not going to be here this weekend. It'll be somewhere warm.
But just to reiterate, yeah, be cautious and, be patient with our public works crews. Sometimes these guys put in 12 to 16-hour shifts or so, more. Up.
20.
Yeah, we don't have the luxury of a Deerfield where we have bunk beds in our public works building where they can rest. So just be patient with them. They'll get it done. That's it. Yeah, just keep an eye on the weather. It looks like it could potentially be a doozy. We'll hope that that's not the case. Only one other thing I would add, and this isn't, I think, a significant direct impact to the township. A lot of people are aware, significant accident on 71. Unfortunately, a couple fatalities earlier in the week. From what I've seen in news reports, a couple outstanding individuals unfortunately perished, and one of those is not a resident of the township, but was an employee of the King School District at their elementary school here on 48 in the township. So I just want to pass along thoughts and prayers and condolences to those individuals and anyone impacted in that. We do have an executive session this evening. We don't expect any action coming out of that. More than welcome to stay if you'd like, but I will make a motion to adjourn into executive session at 6:49 p.m. in accordance with ORC 121.22, Section G, subsection 8A, to discuss economic development, ORC 121.22, Section G, subsection 3, to discuss pending or imminent court action, and ORC 121.22, Section G, subsection 1, to discuss employment of a public employee.
Second.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Mr. Sousa?
Yes.
Mr. Sousa, I should have mentioned earlier that our next trustee meeting, because of some out-of-town scheduling conflicts, has to be moved up one day, and it'll be on Tuesday, February the 3rd at 6 p.m. Thanks.
All right. All right, with that, we're adjourned to executive session, and we'll be back out after, but like I said, don't expect any action afterwards.